Welcome, everybody, to the show Building Resilience. This is your show that every week we are showcasing the expert. Welcome back to all that are attending. This show is an introduction of those stories that bring strength, faith, leadership, and anything and facing adversity. I'm your host, Jose Angel Pereira. Today, my episode is a wonderful episode. This is a wonderful lady that I have here. All the shows that I'm having, Terilee, I'm telling how I got connected to that person. So I'm going to mention that I met in person Terilee. I believe it was in an event in Dallas during the Tag Talks.
It was the Tag Talks event, and we've known each other almost 2 years. In another month, it's almost our anniversary.
It's going to be like 2 years because we did it by this time frame. I was beginning to speak. In fact, that was my first time that I went to a stage. And I remember that when I came back from the stage, I sit down and I see two ladies sitting there. It was Terilee, Alien, and they introduced themselves, and we begin to get connected and begin to know each other. And now I feel Terilee like a close friend. I have been attending some events that she had done in Dallas, and had done several virtual events. And well, we're going to be talking about her. So let me introduce a little bit my guest. So Terilee is an international speaker. She's a networking strategist and a heavy networking strategist. And she's a Christian entrepreneur. He has trained thousands of professionals around the world on business networking, authenticity, and visibility. And she's the founder of and the executive director of the BRI Talks. We're going to talk about BRI Talks because I know that there's something, she's a powerhouse there. And she has given a stage to hundreds of people. I'm being one of them. So the people can tell their incredible stories. BRI Talk is more than a speaking platform. It's a movement. And you can learn when she talks about it. So Terilee has also several books. I was researching, you have a book called The Shameless Networker. Mm-hmm. And she has hosted in several networking events, mastermind, coaching programs over more than 20 years. And well, without no further ado, Terilee, the mics are yours.
Oh my gosh, I'm just so delighted to be here, Jose. And when I think of your platform, and when I think of you and the message that you bring to the world, sure, I've had my own resilience in my life, but nothing like you have, my friend. And so I love it that you are bringing resilience to the forefront, because it's something that to move through life, we're all going to have circumstances, and resilience is key for us to continue to move forward and go on with our life. So I just want to thank you for having me and just acknowledge you for what you're doing here.
Thank you. By the way, when I see all the set of Terilee, I see the Superman cape there. I'm a super big fan of Superman. And by the way, I saw Superman, the movie recently, and I got in love with that movie. It was incredible, the new version of Superman. So, but that's going to be another show. So let's talk about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story, because I am always saying that the people that I'm bringing to the show, almost all of you have your own podcast or you have your own platform, but there are always why you begin to do this, how you came to that space. So tell me a little bit about your story.
If I was to get to the crux of my story, Jose, it's really that I lived for over half my life, starting at age 12, believing that I wasn't good enough and it wasn't okay to be me. And a lot of people can identify with that. And And a lot of people have experiences in that. And in my case, I how I was made, I have a rare condition. How I was made um, was I took on that I was made differently than all other girls. And it's a condition where you have an underdeveloped reproductive tract. So like in your life, you can be 12, 20, 30, 58, right? You can be this age and like nobody knows what's going on with you. There are people that have the things that are going on with them, but it's visible to everyone. And so,
Mm.
in some ways, I've been able to equate in recent years. I've worked on my story a lot, like I bet most of your guests have. I was able to equate that in some ways that, there are people who have been abused by people as a young person, and like the adult told them, don't tell anyone. And in my case, my parents didn't want people making fun of me, and so I don't remember the discussion, but there was a discussion where we said, we're not going to tell everybody. Anybody. They didn't want people making fun of me. And you know what? I feel, I feel like that was the right decision. However, at 12, I took on that how I was made was so bad that I couldn't tell anyone. That's a big pill to swallow, isn't it? And at 12, I took on, based on the information given to me, pre-internet, you're just going off what doctors say. I took on that I was different than all other girls. So let's just ponder that for a minute. So
Yeah.
pretty on the outside, but you're different than all other girls and you can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do with that? Because we all have the circumstances with what do you do with that? And and so I stuffed it down deep inside. And the thing about what we stuff is eventually it comes out. Eventually it comes out. So you're passionate about the stories, and I am too. And for me, part of my passion is, I'm going to tell you, like the big aha for me, 30 years. For 30 years, I thought those things. I thought I was junk. How I was made wasn't good enough. And these things affect your life.
Yeah.
And you had the day when you were kidnapped, when your life took a completely different direction and unexpected direction. And for me, it was the same. And I bet most of your guests too. And so for me, I took a different direction because here I was just going on with my young life, and all of a sudden, boom, no, I didn't believe the same things. So I pursued perfectionism. I didn't realize, I think it was like a cover up of I don't want people to know what's going on inside of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually, though, it starts oozing out, and I started feeling unlovable, and like the relationships I was attracting were not good, and the choices I was making were not good. And so people can look at me today, like you could say, wow, she's a minister's wife. She runs this global faith organization. She has all these things, but I went off feeling unlovable, and I selected men who weren't good for me. And over a 10-year period from like 24 to 34, I was the cheater. I've been cheated on, and I've been the other woman. Like I'm talking, I was definitely off over here making crazy, crazy choices. So long story short, or somebody said long story long, for me, 30 years in, I've been making these choices, and I had an opportunity to speak to a business coach. And the business coach says, what do you want to talk about today? And I said, well, I said, I'm unorganized. I'm unorganized. I said, I go out networking. We talked about my networking. I said, and I lose the cards. Like I'm not keeping track of my leads. I lose the cards, and I'm losing money. And I said, our house is picked up when you walk in, but if you open any drawer, any cupboard, I said, it's a mess inside. And that coach looked at me across the table at a Starbucks, and he said, tell me about your childhood. So at this point, I'm 42, right? So we're coming up. We're coming up to the timeline. And I said, I thought he thinks I was abused or something. And I said, I had a very loving childhood. I said, but I was sick a lot. And when I went to the internet, I was shocked because I think that sometimes we attach ourselves to things that we believe are true.
Mm-hmm.
and their lies. And if we don't seek out the truth, they say that in the good book, it says that the truth will set us free. We
Yeah,
have to be ready for the truth. We have
yeah,
to be ready for the truth because
yeah.
we sometimes the truth isn't what we expect. It doesn't work out the way we want. But I found that day that it changed everything for me. I found that I have a condition that 1 in 5,000 women have, and no one's talking about it. It's a condition where in the news now these days, you may see, Jose, that they talk about women getting like uterus transplants. And those are the people that have my condition. People can have different different underdeveloped aspects when it comes to their underdeveloped reproductive tract. But I found out that not only was I not alone, that these women have it, no one's talking about it. I wasn't talking about it either, right? But I also found out that women tend to not have their own children. And you know what? God gave me a daughter and a son. They're 30 and they're 23 this year. And I realized that instead of being junk for 30 years, that I've been a miracle the whole time and I had no idea. And that changed everything for me. I went from being silent to wanting to share what God had done for me. I felt like God didn't make me a miracle for me to sit on that. And so today, not only do I tell my story, but I want to have a platform to encourage others to do the same. So I will pause here with this statement. The biggest lesson that I've learned in my life is that the greatest gift you can give yourself is to allow others to love you for who you really are. We just never give them the chance. And that's what BRI Talks is all based on.
So tell me something. So you can say that that was your pivotal moment when you decided to, okay, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to help others with this. And that's how you decided to create the Brit Talks. That's basically what you're saying.
BRI Talks wasn't in the equation then.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Back in the beginning, I
Okay.
just knew I wanted to share my story. So
Okay.
this would be starting like at 42 and I'm 58 now. So there was a period when I sat and you mentioned when I like actually wrote my story. You have your story. I've written my story, right? This is called The Shameless Life. Recognize your shame and overcome it in this form. I am actively looking to do a rewrite. It's time for a rewrite. It's been a little while, right? But and in the beginning, it was just I knew I wanted to tell my story, and I didn't know the tie-in with shame. You know, shame is something that we all experience, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about that either.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
who wants to talk about their shame, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
truth is, I hired a book coach and I said, "Hey, this is my story, just like I told you." And she goes, "Oh, this is a book about shame." And I was on the phone that day. I was like, "It is?" And as I began to research shame, I found out I was like the global poster child for a life of shame. All that detour and all the choices I made, that's exactly what someone who is filled with shame does, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm here today to shed a light on this and in that theme of gosh, the greatest gift you can give yourself is to allow others to love you for who you really are. Just it. I People love when you are transparent.
Oh,
People
yeah.
love when you're authentic.
Yeah.
We can't make impacts in people's lives if we stay silent about the things that we've been through. And in business, I bet you get a lot of business people who listen into this. You know, in business, people have to know. They say we do business, we know, like, and trust. That's a kind of a surface statement, but people want to like identify with you, like, I think Jose could be my person. I think Terilee could be my person, like their coach, their mentor, their consultant that works for their company. And some of that's going to come from when we're real. You get to decide how real you're going to be. You're always at choice what you want to share. And I guide people. I have a presentation, stories that stick. It's important in business to have some stories that stick. The
Mm-hmm.
stories we tell are way more important than like the 5 strategies I'm going to teach you today. It's the stories people will remember.
You know something, there's something very powerful in the vulnerability, when the people really decide to share and be vulnerable. Sometimes the people don't like to be vulnerable because they think that they can be exposed,
Yes.
and then some, and this is something that there's a big internal debate sometimes in the leaders if they're gonna be vulnerable or not. But the truth of the matter is that as much vulnerable that you are, as much more transparent that you are, that people really will trust you more.
Yeah,
That's the reality. That's the reality.
totally. And I really believe in ChatGPT one day helped me. I didn't come up with story. I didn't come up with story compression on my own, but I do believe in what I'm going to share is story could be known as story compression. And that's, Jose, when you're speaking to a corporate audience, it's one thing, like we don't want to spend 15 minutes on our story and 10 minutes on strategy, right? But story compression set would say that, can you take your story and put it in one sentence? In one sentence, could you give a description of your life? And
Wow.
then, right? If you think about it, and things, and even descriptors of your experiences. So a couple examples I'm going to give just so people can grasp what I mean is I have seen a top LinkedIn global influencer and coach for many years that I have known out of Australia have at the top of his LinkedIn, um, homeless, wait, sorry, I lost it. But okay, homeless veteran, former
Wow.
homeless veteran, former homeless veteran. 3 words, and you get a gist. You get a gist, right? I have someone that I met in my life who I've had the privilege of working with, and he heard me talk about story and like permission to like make your story part of what you're up to, right?
Mhm.
And he says, I just thought I was going to talk about personal development. He's online, Herman Taylor, and he helps people eliminate self-stigma, and he's out speaking at colleges and all kinds of things. You might enjoy meeting him, actually, Jose, for the two of you, yes. But Herman said, I just thought I was going to talk about professional development and personal development. I didn't realize that my story could be key. And now he comes on his speeches now that he like is empowered, and he says, I have faced incarceration, I have faced addiction, I have faced depression, and I have faced suicide. I've been suicidal, right? And those things, we don't know everything he's been through, but we
And
get
that makes him
just,
more human.
yes. And so
Yeah.
the idea for your audience, your amazing leaders that you speak to, and all the people that follow you, the idea for you all is you don't have to necessarily give all the guts and the
Hmm.
details, but can you include enough for them to be like, wow, he gets me, she gets me. They have an understanding. Lately, I've been saying in my social media post at the bottom, if you'd like to connect with a speaker coach that understands you, DM me, right? And so I think it's powerful. I think it's powerful.
Yeah. That's so true. And let's talk a little bit because I know that you're very strong with the faith. How you got to your faith? How you got connected with your husband, by the way? This
Oh,
is a story
that's a
you
good
never
one.
you never
Okay,
talk
that's a
about
good
that.
one. That's a good one in the middle of the story. So I had these relationships, and then by this time I'm like 35. Okay. So I'd had these relationships, and a big clincher for me that I should not leave out would be my mom was an awesome mother. Now, not everyone can say that, but I can. And she'd been sick my whole life, and she passed away when I was 34. And so that was a time for me, like a big time for me in the scheme of all that. I was began to face my own mortality, like my
Wow.
choices. I'm like, what are you doing? I'd been raised in the church. I, at one time in the middle of my mess, told God, I know what you want me to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. I can remember one time, Jose, you probably haven't heard this, but I remember I had a picture in my home, Christ is the head of this house, and I literally got up on a chair and took it down in my home because I knew it wasn't true. Like, that's
Wow.
terrible,
Wow.
terrible, right? But I did it. I've done that. So
Wow.
Terry and I, we met and married in 2002. So we're coming up on our 23rd anniversary. We met on eharmony.com back in the early days of eharmony.com, and
Oh.
and truly I was trusting the computer to make that choice. Talk about using ChatGPT to give you a phrase. I was trusting the computer more than myself. Like back then, it would match you on personality characteristics, and it just had all kinds of things. And it even had I can accept someone with or without children. I can accept someone with it in or not my faith. I can accept someone in or out my race. Like I don't know what it's like now, but you know what? God in eHarmony.com brought me this amazing man and this amazing partner. And it is a beautiful thing when you've been through the ringer to know that you have someone that you're going to be with the rest of your life. That's such a blessing. And I know that you have such an amazing marriage and that y'all have been through so much. And I know that you understand what it's like to have that lifelong partner.
Oh yeah, definitely. When you have somebody that supports you and every time it's like the good wines that in the time passes it gets
Yes.
better. It gets better.
Yes, yes. We definitely change. We definitely change.
Yeah,
But yes, but it's just it's better and it's so special, extraordinarily special. Yeah.
that's great. That's great. And then so how comes the faith? How makes the faith in all this?
Oh, I'm gonna confess. I'm making all kinds of someone in my life, Diane Cunningham Ellis, who I don't know if you know, but she has things she calls confession sessions, and so this is all becoming a confession session. So I'm gonna tell you all like. Terry was a minister when I met him, or he had a former minister at the time when I met him in 2002. He worked in the corporate world for a while, and then one day, maybe like 2008, he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about going back into the ministry," and so he did, and that might be the right year. But so people knew for years that we were in ministry, but I did not lead faith forward in my business until May of 2024, just over a year. We even served in Singapore for 5 years.
Mhm.
He was the dean at a Bible college, and I was on Zooms during COVID with thousands of people from around the world. And I'll tell you, Jose, sadly, I would just simply, because I wasn't sure that faith and business could go together at that time. And so I would just say, yeah, we're in Singapore because my husband's the dean at a Bible college. And either people would light up like a Christmas tree and want to talk about it, or they would go on to the next thing. And so I just let that guide my conversations. But you know what? After all the things I'm telling you, putting God off, taking the plaque down because I knew I wasn't doing the things, right? It's like, no, it's time. I felt called that when it came to having a platform. So BRI stands for bold, real, and impactful, BRI. And when it came to have a platform, I wanted to be free to talk about God and what God had done in my life. And I wanted others to be able to do the same. So you can come in, and I say it's a place to share your story, your cause, or your method in the most impactful way. You can come in as a business person and share your strategies and not delve wholly into your story. You
Mhm.
can also come in and majorly share your story. Jose has shared several times on several themes. They're amazing talks, and a lot of times it comes through, of course, the circumstances the unique circumstances that he has been through, and the lessons learned over time. Um, Different lessons learned, huh? The more you speak about it, more lessons come. Yes,
Yeah.
so amazing, and thank you for sharing that with the world. But I just decided in May of 2024 that I wasn't going to keep silent any longer. I wanted to have this platform, and in order to do that now I surely hope that when people go look at my socials, that they immediately identify that I am a faith-driven, a Christian business owner.
I'm so glad, Terilee, that I've seen that people take that bold action today. I see many people decided to say, "I'm not gonna keep silent.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that I have faith. I'm a Christian, and I don't care because sometimes the people are hiding that, and that is very powerful because I see people taking that step and they begin to shine.
Mm,
They begin to shine because now the people, there were people that maybe would not like you. Well,
yeah.
that's okay. That's okay.
There's going to be people that don't like you no matter what.
No, correct. So I have several friends that have taken that decision, and when I hear you today, I'm thinking in them that they have decided to say, I'm gonna do my thing based on my faith, and that's great. That's great. So when you decided to combine the your business and your faith, by the way, my pastor always talk about this, that the there's no part in the Bible that Jesus said that we had to be poor. That
Mm,
so in fact, one of the biblical principles is the abundance, the abundance, but of course, the abundance connected to God. So let's talk about a little bit how you make that combination and how you promote that in your platform.
mm. Um, and you mean how I just encourage people that it's okay to make money?
Mhm.
Yeah.
To make money, but stick to the biblical principles
Yes.
and your faith.
Yes. I agree with you. There's nowhere it says that we can't make money. And um, I meet a lot of people who aren't quite there yet. And I meet people that even like don't they would be like, why should I pay you to share my story? Right. And so they're not thinking like as a business person, they aren't thinking about making investments. We make, and I've never asked you this, but I'm certain with where you've been in the business world, where you have been, where you are today, that you've had mentors and coaches, right? The
Mhm.
consultants, people who poured into you, right? And so there are a lot of people that just don't quite have that understanding yet, and they have that mentality that they cannot or they should not make the money. So it is important to hang around with a crowd of business owners where you can be poured into so that you can move beyond that and even get used to selling. Some people do not enjoy selling. They think it's a bad thing. And we can't serve people unless there is a sale. And whether it's as you know, as you well know, oh, congratulations, I saw your Spanish edition of your book is doing super well. Congratulations, as it should, as it should. But whether you're going to serve some people with your $15 or $20 book, right? Or whether they're going to come aboard in a short course with you or a membership with you, or whether they're going to do a high-end training with you, you are just not going to be able to do it without selling. And so having that encouragement from people that will help you is key. And I do include that when I'm working with people because it is crucial. And for a bazillion years in my career, for 15 years, we talked about my networking. I mainly sold, don't laugh at me, Jose, $400, $375 a year networking memberships. And that was the main thing that I sold. So for some of us, we might get into a rut and be very comfortable. And when it comes then to selling something that's thousands of dollars, we need to grow into that. So allow yourself the space, get yourself the support to grow into what you're going to be offering. It's really, really crucial. And this is whether you're faith-based or not. This is really, really critical that you embrace sales.
You know, I was laughing when you were talking because I am going to have one of my guests in the show. He's a guy that I'm not going to name it right now, but he's a sales guru. He's a real sales guru. He's a sales coach, but I love him because he's a salesman that doesn't talk about sales.
Yes.
And he always said, you don't have to talk about sales. The sale comes alone because the people will love you, will trust you, and then you will sell. And
Yep.
and the conversation I had with him was really interesting because he gave a lot of tips. You're gonna enjoy when you hear it.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
And
Yeah,
and
no,
and you
it's
know that
critical.
I'm also connected to Paul, the C-suite of Christ, that he has a
Yeah.
great movement, and he always talks something that I love it. By the way, he's gonna be in Houston next month. He's coming here to Houston,
Okay.
and he always says that every business owner, every CEO of a company, if you are a faith-based, this is your ministry. So your company is your church. So that's where you have to evangelize, and you have to evangelize it with the way you behave. If you're a true Christian, you have to behave as a true Christian. You have to take care of the other. You have to be empathic with the other. You have to have that human touch. So you have to profess that. So, and there's where I think that the powerful when you embrace your faith. So let's
Mhm.
talk about because BRI Talks, it has become a great platform, and I enjoy it. I see that you're doing a lot with BRI Talk. let's talk about how you begin the BRI Talk, and where's the stage of BRI Talk today.
Mm, if you are if you're listening and you are someone who has thought about doing a TED Talk, what's interesting, Jose, is not everybody wants to do a TEDx like talk. Not everyone wants to, right? But there
Yeah.
are those who do. And so if you're someone that would love to do one and be free to share your faith, this is the platform for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have regular opportunities for you to come and record a talk online from wherever you are, just like this. I imagine you're home in Houston and I'm in Dallas right now. But I mean, the beauty is we can record from around the world
Mm-hmm.
in that manner. We're going to regularly have in-person opportunities where people can come and get their professional video done, just like similar to like the event we met at almost 2 years ago when you gave your speech for the first time. I got that recording, right? We only need so many recordings, but if that's something that is of interest to you all, we have that opportunity as well. And I'm just going to throw out, I believe you've done one of these. I'm asking myself now, but I also have opportunities for folks who maybe you don't want to give a talk of 15 minutes or less like that. Maybe though you'd love to just share for 3 minutes or less what is your favorite Bible verse and why. We call those bold Bible minutes. And those are open to anybody and everybody from around the world. I would love to continue to collect thousands and thousands of these stories of how God has worked in people's lives. So there's really something for everyone at BRI Talks.
And let me say to the audience that are hearing this, not only that you have the platform, she has the opportunity, is that when she gives you the cut of the video, is very professional cut. So you can, there is no brainer, because you're going to have a professional video that you can use for your speaker career or whatever you want to do with it. So it's really, really, I encourage the people to attend the BRI Talks. So Terilee, you have been talking about a shameless networker, because you said that you are a networker. So uh, how you begin to think the network is a powerful tool, and what is the biggest misconception that people has about what networking is about?
Oh, mm. I think the biggest misconception is that a lot of people go to networking to sell.
Mhm.
And when we go networking, no one's looking to buy. Do you agree?
Yeah,
And
correct.
so when I go networking, sure, there are times when someone will say, I've been looking for someone to help me grow my business through speaking. I want to talk to you. That can happen. Yes, can
Mhm.
totally happen. However, most of the time it doesn't. So you know who I'm on the lookout for? And I bet that you do the same. And that's, I'm looking for other people who serve my clients, but do something different that I can potentially collaborate with.
Mhm.
That is who I am looking for. The opportunity to, whether you want to call it create referral partner relationships, whether you want to call them like look to create joint venture partnerships. These are one of the most amazing ways to grow your business. And so even before we hit record today, we were talking about, like for BRI Talks as an example, partnering with other or Christian organizations that don't necessarily have a speaking aspect, or would be looking at the possibility of bridging over into including speaking for their people. That's a wonderful opportunity for me. So yes. And when you're networking, I really want to encourage you to ask for what you really need. Put it out there. So for me to say, as you asked right before we hit record too, for me to say I'm wanting to meet founders of Christian business organizations, that I would love to build relationships with them. One thing that I want to be clear is that great relationships take time. And so things won't come immediately. But this is one way to really maximize your networking, is to look at the people that you can refer, the people that just make sense. And so some examples within speaking might be working with people who help people. I believe every speaker needs a book and every author needs to speak. So people that do publishing with speaking, it goes well. Podcasting, people that speak and have books. They want to do podcasting. Like you can see the synergy. And so think about your business for the listener and think about who are the people that I need, that my clients need, and those are the relationships to go build. It's the most powerful, fun, effective, productive, and impactful with your income way to grow your business.
And let me tell you, the network, when you do it right, is a powerful tool. I have met incredible people during my network that today were connected in many ways. Let me say you something that it blew my mind. You know,
Tell me.
I published my book recently in Spanish, and I'm connected to several pastors in in areas like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and I have been doing even podcasts with them. And one of them, we have become really friends. And a couple of weeks ago, he told me, Jose, I know that you're publishing your book in Spanish. I would love to have it published in Bangla. You know that. And I
Yeah.
said, why? Yeah, because we have people here that really would love to hear your story. So one day he came to me like 2 weeks ago, and he said, give me the manuscript. I'm gonna translate it to Bangla. You know what? He did it. We did a Zoom this morning. He told me, I have almost finished your translation. I was in shock. I said, I cannot believe that. Yes, and he showed me. So the book is going to be public in Bangkok maybe in a couple of weeks.
That's so great. It's
I
the
I I have never imagined that, and he
right.
did it because we became friends through networking.
Mhm.
So
It's it's networking and God connections.
and well, God connection too, of course. Well, this is something else because I talk about that divine connection, but
Yes.
the divine connection will come through the networking because they
Yeah.
will not come alone. You have to meet the
No,
people. You have to meet the
no, there
people.
has to be something. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
God makes the connection, but
Yeah.
you need to provoke it, and the way to provoke it is through the network.
Agreed. Agreed. We have to show up.
You have to show up. So what else for Terilee? What is the next move for Terilee?
I would love to tell you about the next move. So, something that's become super clear to me in the last year as I was working in small groups to help speakers move forward to how to level up their story, how to accelerate their speaking. Something that became very clear to me is that everybody needs help with their tech. And Jose, you speak a lot, and I'm so proud of you. And I see you going here and going there and doing the things. And in the old days, as speakers, we didn't need tech. In the old days, you might have them write on an index card and say, give me your information, or you would have them go to the back, right? You would go to the back of the room and have a sheet on everyone's chair, and they would fill out their credit card and run it to the back of the room. Remember those days?
Yes,
And
of course.
now, and now it's just different. And so I am teaming up with, and if you don't know her, I want to introduce you to her, with the amazing Carolyn Bob Green, who Carolyn's out of Houston. And
I
Carolyn,
heard about her. Yes. Okay.
yes, and tech is her jam, and she has run for many years a very successful training company. She focuses on training early child educators, but we're teaming up to bring together, are you ready? It's called the Boss School, BOS, the Business of Speaking School, BOS.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and in this school, I'm going
I'm
to be
gonna be
working.
there.
Yes, I'm going to help people work on leveling up their story, leveling up their speaking. We're going to just talk about how to use speaking to grow your business. And then she is a patient woman when it comes to tech, and she is going to help people done with you, not done for you, done with you, help people walk away through our courses, having launched their course, having gotten all their tech done, because that's the one thing that people are missing. And these days we have to have good tech. If we don't have this email system set up, we could go on and on. If we're not ready to do reels, if we're not ready to do all those things, we're never going to make it growing our business through speaking. So look out. You're going to start to see on all my socials all kinds of information about the Boss School, BOS, the Business of
Okay.
Speaking
Okay. So
School. It's a
let's
new
be ready.
training arm for BRI Talks.
Let me tell you that the tech is so important, and I enjoy it. I was never a tech guy. By the way, I didn't love tech, but I discovered that there are a lot of tools today that if you use it wisely, it not only can help you, it helps you gaining time. So
Yes.
people can think you're doing a lot of things and it's tech doing it for you. So things like this, we're today talking here, and then they cut some reels, and then you had some clips, and then it posted all over the place, and it
Yeah.
appears that you're like doing a lot of things, and it's one recording that is cut in 30 pieces.
Yes.
So and you can do that like this with tech.
For very little a month for the software, right? Like it's incredible. And that's one example. That's one example. And so I'm super excited to offer this to the speakers in my life, that this is an opportunity for them to like actually go get the thing done instead of knowing they need to do it and it's still on their to-do list and they feel overwhelmed.
Okay, that's great. We're gonna be promoting. So when you begin to promote it, I'm gonna be supporting you on this.
That sounds awesome. Thank you so much.
So we're coming. Wow, we have already gone a lot. Uh, so here comes your 5 minute speech. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes that you talk whatever you want to talk about your business.
Mm. Mm. I think what I want to empower the people in your life is to think about the idea of not only what are you going to promote, but just sharing authentically. And I have some prompts that if anyone follows me, especially like on Facebook and LinkedIn too, I'll have it on LinkedIn too. But I'm going through some exercises that I teach my community and included in there. So I only started like 3-4 days ago, but they're very personal prompts for you to either do videos with or maybe do a long form post. Things like, if I could share one lesson with the world, it would be blank. The hardest thing I've ever done is blank. What I wish I'd known sooner is blank. What people misunderstand about me is blank. That's 4 examples. There's numerous prompts. And you know what? If anybody reaches out to me, I'm happy to share this with them. But the thing that I think is so important is that, and we mentioned it briefly, is that people who are looking for you, they're finding you online. We used to meet in person at networking before, they're all finding you online. And this idea of them being able to identify, hey, I think that she could be my person. I think that he could be my person. I still want you to promote your programs. I still want you, like, we get to follow Jose. I'm on my way to speak here. I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. Thank you for this award. We get to see live and in action. I want to encourage you to share your journey with them, but share your heart with them too.
Yeah.
Share your business tips as well. Be this whole person. And even like I asked myself recently, I was like, is that too much? So we spent 5 years in Southeast Asia. My son wanted to go to Jollibee. I don't know if you know that hamburger place.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Jollibee is super popular in the Philippines, and we had been able to go in the Philippines and Singapore. And there's a new one here not far from our house. And my son, that's 23, he wanted to go. And so I took a picture of us with the Jollibee, and I thought, I'm not going to post that. There's only like 5 friends that I have that would care. I thought, no, these are the things. Share your life. Share your
Yeah.
life. I see you sometimes with your grandkids and your things at church, right? And so be well-rounded and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to share your heart. It's important on all the things you do, everyone, to have a call to action at the end. So maybe it's that Jose is looking for more connections for speaking. Maybe he's looking for more podcasts. I don't know, right? And in my case now, I'm starting to talk at the end of these my posts about mentioning the boss school. That makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
always have a call to action, because it's those calls to action that will lead people to say, hey, I want to talk to you about the boss school. Hey, I want to talk to you about speaking. It's a combination of all these things that if we think about being bold, real, and impactful, it's these things that can really matter. And so So you're going to start to see this more in my posts. Again, I'm happy to share these golden prompts with any of you that would be interested. You can say, hey, I saw you on Jose's show, send me the prompts. And I just want to encourage you all. Nothing bad is ever going to come when you share a bit of your heart.
And not only that, Terilee, that shows that again that your human side. Because, for example, when I share that I'm with my grandsons having fun, I enjoy them. So why am I gonna show that I enjoy them? No,
Right,
I enjoy them. There are
right.
some people that sometimes are kind of sketchy with that, but I'm very open. Of course, I don't want to expose them,
Of course.
but uh, but if I'm having fun with my family, I want the people to know that I'm human, I'm real, I
Yes,
enjoy that. Those
yes,
are my moments.
yes.
If anybody wants to connect with Sterling, where's the way they can connect with you, Sterling?
I want to encourage you all. You can find me across multiple platforms, but literally Terilee Harrison, the way it's spelled, there's probably not any other Terilee Harrisons with white hair. So go find me and message me and say I met you through Jose. I would really love that. And I'm just here to encourage you all that every story matters, your story matters, and if you're thinking about telling your story, we're certainly here to help you tell it.
By the way, we didn't talk about the story about the cape, the Superman cape. What is the story of the
Oh,
cape?
oh, that's really, no one asked that. That's very interesting.
Oh.
Okay, so I lived for many years in Southern California, and Six Flags was there. Six
Oh
Flags
yeah.
was there, and so they had like all the capes, and I had someone help me get one. And for me, it's just a symbol. I believe that a lot of times we need to work on ourselves. You put on the cape and work on yourself, heal yourself first, go take care of you, and then you'll be able to go serve others, right? We can't go ask anybody to do what we're not willing to do ourselves. And so there was years I didn't think I was Supergirl, but you know what? I am, and it's okay. And I want to encourage others to do the same.
You know, I have a story tied to Superman because when I grew up as a kid, I grew up in Venezuela in a oil field camp was run by American companies. So we did a lot of American customs. You know, we did Halloween, we did things. In Halloween, I always loved to dress as Superman. You know,
Oh,
and so I grew up. You know, and when I grew up, I began to be very high fan of the comics. You know, always with the Superman comic, and you know, I kept stick to Superman. When when my story of captivity happened, I was in a Superman movie. I
yes, you
was
were.
I was
Wow.
in the Superman movie, and you know, in this weekend that I saw this new Superman movie, I was with my wife, and I was thinking. By the way, I did a post talking about because when I came back to my house, I said, "Mommy, did you realize that 8 years ago we were in the movie like today, and I received a phone call that changed my life forever, and now I'm today here with you, seeing the movie, but in freedom."
Yeah.
So wow, so Superman has been part of my life, you know, so for some
So you
reason. So
need
when
your own cape. So you need your own cape.
I maybe would need, and maybe I'm gonna have to put a cape of Superman here, but no, it's gonna be taking your story.
You're not taking my story. You're not taking my story. In fact, there's been times in my life when I was ill and my husband was like, "I'm bringing your cape to the hospital because just want them to know who they're dealing with," and he would hang it behind my bed.
That's
And
okay. That's okay.
you're not taking my story. Superman it definitely has some ties there in your life, and you know we all can be superheroes in some way,
Oh yeah, oh
serving
yeah.
others, helping others, coming alongside each other. So go for it, my friend.
But you know, I discovered that my superhero today is Paul. When I begin to read the stories of how Paul evangelized, I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, Superman was my hero, but my true hero is Paul."
Yes.
You
So true. So good.
know. Okay, Sterling, we're coming to the end. So I'm gonna give you one last minute. What would you say to the audience in this last minute?
Mm. If you've been touched at all by anything we've talked about telling your story, maybe it's thinking about doing story compression. maybe it's the idea of giving a 15-minute speech. I just want to encourage you to do those things, to think out of the box, become brave, if you will, bravely say a few words. And I think you're going to be surprised how well it's received. And I just want to encourage you to be the real you.
Well, Terilee, this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so proud that you was with me here. Well, this is going to be a great conversation. And to the audience that's hearing this is part of the series, Meet the Expert. Terilee was my last expert that I needed to complete the series. I was chasing her. I know she she has been really busy. I was always saying, Terilee. So now I can say that with this interview, I'm closing this series. It has been a wonderful series. I brought like 14 people that have been part of my journey, and 14 people, all of them that have been part of my story. And I'm so glad that I have all of you with me, and now they're sharing with the audience. If anything resonated to you, please contact with Terilee. You can contact through TerileeHarrison.com or letstalkbri.com also, or you can DM her. So Terilee, this has been a wonderful show. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Jose.
Bye.
Bye.